All right, you saw the title, so let's get into it. First and foremost, shout outs to everyone who helped me come up with these ideas on server 2, the real ship server. James Tono, glad we had that little hour-long discussion about alterations and whatnot. And of course, my boy B0, or in-game Infinite Zero. Been playing with you, 8 years now. Have yet to regret it, bro. All right, let's get into it. Now, just so we're clear, these are in no particular order of importance, but I'm sure someone will find something to be mad at anyway. Number 10, vehicle travel. But Zax, you can already run like your ass is Sonic the Hedgehog and jump around like a ping pong ball. Yeah, but that's not the same as vehicle travel. If they're doing open world format, which is a bit of a standard for MMOs, that means that at some point in time, we're gonna get more expansive areas, or we may even go interplanetary. It's a sci-fi game after all. At some point in time, by foot ain't gonna be as fun. Or what if there's a field boss in a designated location on a mountain, nowhere near the hub world? Yes, we have teleportation features, but what if we want to make some other stops along the way? I like the idea of a small spaceship, kind of like the camp ship, which is already in PSO2, and someone being able to manually control it and drive and drop people off. Yes, finally being able to run and jump and properly air dash, air glide, and hover or whatever is fun, but I'm thinking big. What about groups? We want to make sure we can go someplace and a field enemy doesn't just swat somebody, then we all got to stop and help them out or hope they get away. Nah, fuck that. Also, light cycles. I'm never going to stop bringing it up till I get them. I want my Tron light cycles in Phantasy Star. Come on, Sega. Number 9, group open field teleportation. Now, this is one of those unknown unknowns. We don't know if they've already decided to do it or not, but listen. In the original Phantasy Star Online 1, you got a technique / magic spell called Redesign. Redesign allowed you to teleport to the hub world no matter where you used it in a mission. Well, we're in an open field now. Obviously, we know that there's telepipes. They had telepipes in the last game and a few others, like all of the Phantasy Stars, if memory serves. So, we don't know for sure yet because Sega hasn't told us. We won't have this ability already, but just in case, I'm mentioning it now. Give us the ability to teleport as a group or just teleport as individuals from anywhere on the field back to Mother Base. Number 8, complete redesign of the in-game crafting system. Oh, Jesus. Hey, look, you might want to skip this part completely for the simple fact, and I do mean the simple fact that this may be the bulk of the video right here. Mind you, this is me abbreviating it. First and foremost, there are too many timer-based restrictions on the crafting system. And that's not my opinion, it's a fact. The amount of time it takes to be able to actually craft something from scratch, if you're just starting off at level 1 crafting, something even as simple as a ring, forces you to go by real-world time, not in-game time. Imagine you are going to make a ring because you saw it at the cafe. Not sure why a cafe is selling rings. That feels very, very unusual. And you know where the raw materials are. You get in your ships, you teleport and warp down to the planet. You got a pickaxe that's free, you possibly can find a rare one, or you get the guaranteed rare drop one. Now you're using your pickaxe at designated locations, not just anywhere where it would be normally feasible. Then you know what happens? Guess what? You're hit with a stamina gauge out of nowhere that has never existed before in the entirety of the game. You swing around giant swords, machine guns with pinpoint accuracy, beat up bosses, backflip, teleport, warp around the stage, but when you swing a pickaxe, holy shit, does that drain your life, soul, and energy. So the only way to remove this, and you can't actually remove it, but to subside it temporarily, is by spending in-game currency known as star gems. But you're level 1, what if you ain't got none? Or rather, what if you're saving up your star gems for something else later in the game? You have to wait about 2.5, I believe, maybe 3 in-game hours. Now, let's say you're ready to finally craft the item. We'll just say you made the ring, but now you want to craft armor. You want to increase the power, the defense capabilities of one of your armors. You only get 2 out of 9 crafting slots in your room to craft. The third one, you have to get by leveling your crafting ability. And the amount of real world time, because there's a real world timer on this part too, that you need in order to get to that point, I believe it's over 50 hours, real world hours. Yes, there are items that lower how long it takes for you to craft something, but guess what? Those aren't something that are inherently always cheap. Excuse me. Or you could be a player that's playing on a limited time frame and doesn't gross a lot of money. So you basically have to wait this out. Every time you craft something, the minimum time, especially when you're starting off, I believe is around 3 to 5 hours to finish up the craft cooldown. Not the crafting, the cooldown after the crafting. Nothing else in the game is like this. If you wanted to craft a photon art, for every single photon art that has an alternate version of itself in the craft shop, not including techniques, at a minimum, you're looking at burning up close to, if not 4 in-game days. And there's no other way to get these from an NPC shop. You can only get them from a player shop, or you can get them by manually crafting them yourself. But guess what? The more levels on that photon art, altered or not, type zeros and all that jazz, the more they're going to charge you. So now you've got a dilemma. It's a real genuine time sink, and it's almost unfair for it to be implemented the way it is. If they wanted to put a gotcha, force you into monetization system, they succeeded, but people said, you know what, it ain't worth it. Let's think about this real quick. The raw materials you get from a pickaxe, you can also do by desynthesizing. Desynthesizing is free, and the raw materials are the same. But Zax, there are premium raw materials that don't show up easily. Well, guess what? You can actually take those low rank raw materials, go into the shop area, and there's a shop that'll let you convert them into higher grade material. So realistically, they destroyed the whole purpose of using the pickaxe almost completely. Yes, there's still food and things like that of that nature and crafting food, but I'm specifically referring to in-game items that involve you playing the game. The food is boosters. The food are boosters, but they're not a weapon. They're not an armor. They're not a special ability that you can put into an armor temporarily at that. The system needs an overhaul because the amount of time consumption is too high. Even for premium players, they only get a second row out of the 9. So you start with 2 rows to be able to craft freely on. You have to unlock by leveling your crafting, which can take about 50 hours. You have no guarantee on how easy or hard it's going to be for you to pick up cooldown reducers, and the cooldown reducers themselves are even sold in the cash shop. So getting them in game isn't that common. Yes, there are places that'll let you get them for very little effort, but now you've increased the time it takes for you to actually get a full craft list. Then there's a whole entire row on top of the 6 I mentioned, the 3 for free and the 3 for premium that you can buy to unlock for AC. So at no point in time do you ever get the option to fully buy the ability to unlock all 9 slots. I have been crafting since it came out. So that means I've been crafting for 6 years. I still don't have the ability to get more than those initial 3 without some form of money being involved. It's crazy. It's not even fucking worth it. Number 7. No mission time restrictions. Now this is a bit of a rarity, or I guess oddity even for Sega, but there are some missions that do have a set amount of time before they can be redone. Usually it's a 7-day or a 24-hour situation. I want it going. Other people want it going. I understand that these can be there sometimes to stop people from, for lack of a better term, abusing the system, or, gaining a lot of money too quick, gaining a lot of levels too quick. But to be fair, Sega's in a weird spot when it comes to leveling. I think they're so busy focusing on in-game content that they actually go out of their way to try to boost people up. It's very common, at least for the past 2.5, 3 years of everyone getting a new class, for Sega to spend about a month, maybe 2 months, giving us free EXP tickets. 1 million EXP. 1 million EXP is enough to level you to 30. So when the new Gunblade class comes out, which hasn't come out at the time of this video, I'm instantly going to be able to press one button and hit level 30 because Sega was just giving out EXP tickets for doing basic missions. I don't like that in the sense that it takes away from my experience and personal growth with using this class. But at the same time, the goal of any MMO is to be able to function in in-game content. However, you feel how you feel about that one. But I want them to try to switch over to a temporary system, like after you do a mission so many times, you can no longer access it, or something like a rotating mission cycle versus a time restriction, which they've already implemented. But that implementation of frequent quest, limited quest, yeah, that hasn't carried over to the time restriction quest. They're still there. Bro, just if you think it can be abused, make it a frequent quest, which means temporary, or make it a limited quest, as in put it in the cycle. I'm sorry, but you fix a problem, but then you stop implementing the cure for the problem all the way. It's weird how they did that. Number 6, allow all classes to use every weapon category they're supposed to. Now, for those who don't realize it because they don't heavily advertise and you can't really tell from like commercials and trailers and whatnot, but you can have 2 classes in Phantasy Star Online at once, a primary and a sub. Nothing new, nothing special. Plenty of games have done this before, right? Well, guess what? You can't utilize the weapons of your subclass unless that specific weapon is allowed to be utilized with a different class. So if I'm a hunter, the guy with the big sword, and my subclass is a ranger, the guys with the rifles, I can't use my strongest rifle. I have to go and find a weaker rifle that can be universally utilized or can only be utilized between the hunter and ranger, and vice versa. Why is this even there? Taking that out doesn't break the game. It increases the variety of combat. Come on, Sega. You want classes to synergize well, then why not remove the biggest bar to that? Number 5, a weapon leveling system / weapon grinding overhaul. Okay, look, we already know that Sega has heard the cries of many people of fixing and grinding weapons, which is why there have been slight evolutions to how it works in the 8 years it's been around. I think there's been about 3 major changes to it. How about we just simplify everything? And here's what I'm thinking. I've run it through James Tono and some other people too. What if the weapon can level by utilizing it, and it also has a rank system that increases the level of the photon art? Just think about that for a second. You got a level 1 weapon, it can level up to 100. There's a level 10 weapon, it can level to 100, but it takes significantly longer. Yes, it'll have more power, but here's the thing. You've now increased the usability of that level 1 weapon. And you did it without burning through a bunch of affixes, affix protections, and secondary and triary, because they go that far, items to make sure you can transfer over abilities. Yes, there is SSA affixing, but remember, that's only for extremely, extremely high-end ranked weaponry. How about we make every possible weapon in the game potentially viable? What if we can take weapons and it becomes an absorption system instead of a grinding system? If you know you need, we'll say, 100,000 EXP to get any weapon to level 100, well, what if I still like my level 1 and I go and feed it a level 10 or a 12 or 15? I still spend a lot of time with the weapon because guess what? Farming that 10, 12 star super rare weapon at the time of New Genesis and putting in that level 1 boosts me up a lot. I maybe get 10 levels, and guess what? Now I can get a secondary part to my photon art combo. Or my photon art, has a shift action type quality, so it can now change midway into a different form of itself. Simplify things. The less photon arts we have to deal with the disc, the more room in the bank. Obviously, you can still add special abilities, but you know, I don't know, make it guaranteed adding a special ability, or just make me eat the weapon and then I have a set cap of how many abilities I can have. So if I want to cheat the leveling system by keep dumping in bigger bigger weapons, I can A, ignore any special abilities and just get it to 100, then look for special abilities put in the weapon, or B, nitpick special weapons, and once I nitpick special abilities, also known as affixes in game, and then once I got what I want, just go slow, level it. Hey, I'm trying to save people time here at this point. Number 4, free trading without premium. Remember when I mentioned that there is a premium system? You know, you can renew it monthly or once every 45 days or something like that. Well, guess what? They put a trade wall, which the irony in that. There's a trade wall involved with that. So if you're a freemium player or if you spend any money on the game, it doesn't matter. If you want to trade, you specifically have to get the monthly subscription. Bro, A, you could let me just buy the ability a one-time fee. B, you could just make it so we can do it. This is supposed to be an MMO RPG cooperative. There's not even a damn PvP mode. Yo, well, there is a PvP mode, but it doesn't work like you think it does. It's more like a tournament. Listen, Sega, that's like the basis of cooperative play. If I'm level 10, the guy next to me is level 1, he just started the game, and I want to do more than be a meat shield and help him be able to stand on his own 2 legs, why can't I give him some weapon or armor that I don't give a crap about? There are ways around this system, but I don't want to get into that because it'll lead to somebody's stuff potentially getting taken from them. So I'm not going to even, entertain discussing that. But Sega, I really wish you would rethink this. You know you make most of your money off of the cosmetic gambling, so why not just let trading be allowed in New Genesis? In fact, you don't even have to allow it in the PSO2 overhaul. Specifically make it so you can trade for free in New Genesis. You could use it as a way to get PSO2 players to jump ship, because if, no pun intended, because if they go in New Genesis, they can freely trade. Then they can take what they get, come back out, Number 3, direct purchase of cosmetics with the gacha. So yeah, back on that gacha life. All right, so we all know that gacha is a shorthand contraction, even though it's an actual word in Japan, I believe, for gotcha money. Well, guess what? Okay, take it. If you want to make getting an outfit and in the color you want and being able to change the color, rare items, stuff to raffle, fine. But why not give me also an option to buy it directly? This isn't like Monster Hunter. If we buy armor and clothing, it's not going to give us some direct boost. This stuff is basically cosmetic. If I see a hat I want, why can't I get it for $1? If I see a full outfit I want, why can't it be sold to me for a bundle for like $3 or $4? As long as you keep the price to single digit numbers, I don't think that's really going to be a problem, and you may even see your money grow. Sega has made the claim that PSO2 is a minimum 60% of all of their revenue of last year or in general, right? Well, why don't you expand the revenue? Why don't you expand how many ways people can give you money? Allow us to get the option to just spend a few dollars to get a full outfit or parts of an outfit. And in the color we want. Don't want to give you guys, an inch because y'all take a mile. Number 2, class type restructuring or reconstruction, depending on how you look at it. Hey, look, the main and the sub situation, that's perfectly fine. No one has a problem with that. But one of the biggest issues is the unbalance of the types of classes, the unbalance of the weapon categories. Sega, there's more striking weapons than there are ranged weapons, and there's more ranged weapons than there are technique-based magic weapons. However, the summoner, that could be viewed as the pets are the weapons, but the way the game categorizes them, it doesn't categorize the pets. Pets are pets. It categorizes the weapon for summoner as a weapon. Striking classes have 8, 9 weapons, and then range has half that. Come on, Sega, look. I want, besides technique weapons, to have individual characteristics, not just be all versions of the same thing. I shoot magic. So do I. So do I. That's why Bouncer was so popular. But also, Bouncer showed a giant flaw that was missing. There is no range technique class in the game. The closest we got was Phantom, but guess what? Phantom only has one ranged weapon, and it can use magic. Listen, I don't know what stopped Sega from making a class where you could have someone who is this was the name for it in Phantasy Star Universe, so shout out to Phantasy Star Universe, Gunteker. Guntekers were technique and range attack based. Why can't I have an assault rifle for my range moves, but I have a handgun, 2 of them, and yes, they can be infused with technique as well as techniques and elements. So instead of just being able to shoot the technique from a distance, I now can do something where a completely different type of spell comes out. Or since I got 2 handguns, why can't I do complex or compound magic? One side comes out of one gun and one side comes out the other. You got so close with Bouncer. When we saw Bouncer, people were fantasizing about a Gunteker-like class coming back. Bouncer has the ability to, as B0 brought up when I was talking to him, Bouncer has the ability to infuse elemental energy into itself while you're fighting. You don't have to come down while you're fighting unless you genuinely want to. It's only got 4 photon arts, and they even have an extension or alternate version of themselves built in. They were basically the first class to do it before it truly even really got that big and popular like it did with Phantom. And they didn't even go back and retroactively add things. It just stayed the way it was. So think about this for a second. You got Bouncer, which has dual wielding a striking weapon. Then it also has jet boots, which count as a technique. Well, it doesn't really count it as a technique weapon. I think it is or isn't, but I count it as a technique weapon. But it can also hybridize Be Strike, just like with the wand. The wand is a technique weapon, but it is also capable and meant to do physical damage as well. But that wand's another story. The new class we have absolutely no information on, and also the fact that it's that high level. It's a successor class, it's the advanced class, it's a Scion class. So that means that the most diverse class is still a base class by Sega standards, and that's the Bouncer. You have a strike range class with Braver, Katana, and the Energy Bow. Bouncer strike class with technique elemental damage. So why is the gunner left out? Why are the gun people left out? That's weird. But yeah, that's just one thing. Another one is just new classes because we got more weapons. Gee, I wonder what weapon Zach is gonna bring up. Slicer. I still miss the slicers. Oh man, you have no idea. I genuinely miss the slicers. For those who don't remember or never played the older games, a slicer is a weapon that it's very similar to a lightsaber. Here's the big difference though. It's got an extremely thin wire-like photon energy blade. You know why? Because when you swing it, it throws the energy off of itself, but it can bounce off and hit and home into nearby enemies. So here you are with this weapon that basically looks like a regular old sword. You're hitting one enemy, but guess what? You hit that enemy, you hit the one on the left, you hit his cousin coming around the corner, you hit his mama coming from down the street. It's a beautiful sight. Nothing in the game compares to that to this day. And you know what? It should be counted as a range weapon because rangers need some love, especially many times as they mess with weak bullet. So yeah, those are just some examples. Also, if we can get a class that utilizes physical attacks a lot, you know, it can wear the knuckles and it can wear the jet boots or the new glove weapon and the new foot weapon at the same time. That would be really cool, Sega. Just saying. Just saying. And number 1, special attack and technique growth, which again somewhat ties into what I said with number 5. Okay, look here, guys. In the original Phantasy Star Online, when you wanted to boost up your weapon stats, you just had to play the game until a mono grinder, die grinder, tri grinder showed up on the map. And guess what? You could instantly do it in real time. You could literally be in the middle of a stage and you can buff up the stats on your weapon instead of going back to the shop and dealing with doo-doo. Dumbest name ever, but he's an asshole, so he deserves it. I don't even know why they took it out. You can level without being in a mission. You can level while you're in a mission, but you can only level your weapon at the shop. We can teleport humans on and off planets. We can survive interstellar space travel, live on giant colonies, but oh, you want to give your weapon an extra 5 to 10 attack power? Nah. Go see Doo-Doo. It's 50-50 if he can get you past grind level 5, but better than nothing, right? So I'm just sitting up here like, why is this even a thing? Look, you want to make us get better with techniques? Make it somewhat like the weapons. Let us use fire, lightning, wind, blah, 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 until we're allowed to rank up that element. So if we have Foey, aka the most basic fireball ever. Now, if you remember PSO1, techniques got to level 10. They changed how they looked, made a different sound sometimes, and they also got faster. Okay? Well, why not just put that in a ranking system? E, D, C, B, A, S. I don't know why S is always at the top, but do that. Okay, I'm a force, but since there isn't really a skill tree system going on, we don't know if there is or isn't, I like using lightning spells. Now I'm in an area where that's going to bite me in the butt because the enemies either A, absorb it or they have extreme resistance. But guess what? The other force I'm with is fire. Yes, it would make you take longer to level, but guess what? It's still better than randomly picking up disc or grinding out disc or converting disc after you get to a certain level, all that jazz. I would rather learn and keep fighting and playing, kind of like Phantasy Star Universe. The biggest problem with Phantasy Star Universe, which utilizes a system similar to this, is that you had a limited stamina gauge for your special attacks, and it didn't auto regenerate, which B0 reminded me. And as James Tono reminded me, enemies could just move out the way, or it wouldn't count towards the weapon or photon art special move / magic technique, whatever you want to call it, experience if it misses. Well, guess what? We get way better movement options. So why not just allow me to go and rank up my photon arts, rank up my techniques. Then over time, a new ability shows up. Maybe throw in weapons that can alter it. Make it so, oh, if you use fire elements with this weapon because it looks like a flaming sword or something, your ability to level and rank up is automatically changed by 1. Or it just reduces how long it takes to rank up. So much simple stuff. Oh, and number 0, whatever you want to call it. Can we just reorganize the entire UI? Like, don't get me wrong, it doesn't look terrible, but I feel like based on how much screen real estate we have and how many menu categories we get, they should be able to just make everything one giant tab.
Boo this man!
And allow us to click directly on them. And if we're on a pad, maybe we can press a button that helps us skip 1 or 2 tabs at a time. I want the UI to be re-implemented, redesigned. I don't think it's terrible, but I want it to be redesigned. So yeah, go ahead and tell me what you think, and let me know what changes you want to see in the comments. North American players, don't be scared to say stuff either. There might be something that carries over into later seasons. And also, have fun.